Hello everyone, this is Dr. Esperanza, and for today we're going to be working and talking about one variable statistics and some web application that we can use so that we can calculate the numerical summary of our data set when we don't have a calculator that we can use. Statistics can be exciting and sometimes extremely frustrating, especially if we're not getting the correct answer because of the decimal differences that we have from our calculation to the actual answer. That is why sometimes we need to rely on technology, because in statistics, to be able to accomplish a certain task, my analogy here is when you use technology or an application, you are leveling up your tools, such as from using a magnifying glass to, let's say, observe a certain organism, to using an electron microscope, which will give you a more accurate analysis of what you are trying to observe in experiment involving science and organisms. So that's basically why we need to know how to use application. This is what we're going to be talking about today. Application that I use whenever I need to compute or calculate for one variable statistics analysis when my calculator is not around. So for students, you can use your the video in the description box below. Practice on them and use the application that we're going to be using today for your one or univariate dataset analysis. And for teachers, feel free to use our videos. And of course, before we know or before we learn how to use technology, we need to make sure that we are understanding the manual calculation in finding all this numerical summary. And the most, or one of the most popular statistical calculation that we do in statistics is finding the mean, the median, and the mode. And understanding the relationship between the mean and the median is also important, because this is where we are understanding how we apply these numbers or numerical values in such a way that we can translate it into describing a certain behavior in our group of data. It could be grades of students in one class, or average age of teenage pregnancy that is happening in certain area that can be a concern for most. And it could also be statistics involving the number of COVID deaths from the beginning of the pandemic up until today. So this is what we normally use in calculating these data sets, and understanding those values will help us appreciate the technology that we're going to be using in a little while. And of course, numerical summary, we have quartiles, the minimum, the maximum, the Q1, the Q3, and the median, which is basically where our box plot will be coming from. And of course, numerical summaries like the mean, the median, the quartiles of the distribution. These are some of the values that we usually compute to be able to visualize the shape of our distribution without really seeing the graph. And by just relying on the numbers, we'll be able to tell whether the distribution is symmetrical or normal, or skewed to the left or skewed to the right. And for today, we're going to be using the app that I usually go to whenever I forget my graphing calculator. So let's say we're using the height of students in Dr. E's math class, because height is always easier to visualize in our head and we can relate to it easier. So let's say that we are collecting the height of the students in Dr. E's classroom, and we are going to use inches as our unit of measurement. So if you're 5'6", you're 66 inches, because 5 times 12, which is 1 foot, is equal to 12 inches, and then add 6 to it. So we have 66 inches. And if you are 5'10", it's 70 inches. If you are 5'1", it's 61 inches, and so on. So let's see how we use this app. And this is the app that I use, and I'm going to put this in the description box below. Ignore the advertisement in this website. That's why we're able to use it, because of these advertisement. So let's say that we have one student who's 66 inches tall, 67, 69, 5'10", another 5'6", 62 inches, 60, 61, 63, 62 inches, and 67 inches. So let's say we have them. So let's say that we are just using a sample of the students in Dr. E's classroom. Let's say Dr. E has 280 students and we only took this much. So it's a sample. And if you're going to use all the single individual in your grouping, or the problem set is specifically telling you that it's a population, so you use the population. So let's say it's sample and we calculate it, and now we have the numerical summary. So the minimum height is at 60 and the maximum height is at 5'10". We have 11 students in this data set. Notice that it's a lot easier to interpret and analyze our data with this numerical summary. We have the mean of 64 inches. So let's write it down. A mean of 64.8 inches with a median that is 66 inches and a standard deviation of 3.37 inches. So these are some of the numerical summary that we normally calculate in one variable statistics. And in this particular case, we know that this value is, or this relationship between the mean and the median will tell you that your distribution is a little bit skewed because your median and your mean is different. And this is how we normally use numerical summaries and these calculations to be able to understand the shape and the behavior of the distribution using the numbers that we are seeing. So this is an app that we can use for our numerical summary. And we can confidently say that our calculation is correct because we are relying to technology, and the errors that we might commit is a little bit minimal now because of the technology that we are using. So this is how we use statistics, and we're calculating the numerical summary or one variable statistics using an application. And you can use this if you don't have a calculator at hand. So working with numerical analysis will be a lot easier. And some web application, if you search on it in Google, you can find a calculator that will show you graphs like box and whisker plots, or a normal curve, or a histogram based on the data set that you are calculating. So this is our numerical summary that you can use, or you can calculate using an app that I just showed you. So these are some of the web applications that we use. So remember, when you are working with technology, make sure that you are not too dependent on technology and not really understanding the math behind the calculation that your web app or your calculator or your phone is giving you, because it's important that you know the whys before you can find ways on how to use technology in calculating math problems involving statistics. So these are some of the apps that we can use. I'm sure there are more apps out there that you can use when you're working with one variable statistics. Comment down below. You have some apps that you use in your own classroom if you're teaching statistics as well to your students. And for our students, the videos that you can practice on is on the description box below. So mathematics, to gain confidence in working with the skills that we are learning, we need to just keep using them and practicing. And we know that we can learn mathematics if we have the proper mindset, and if we know the resources that we can use to make math a little bit more exciting. It will help us to become better in dealing with numerical problems that we are working on in school. So this is Dr. E, and see you again next time. Bye!